Deep in the outer rim of the galaxy, the stars stretched like scattered diamonds against black velvet. The Galactic Empire's patrol fleet drifted lazily near the viral sector, confident in their control. To them, the humans were a minor nuisance, a small species that had never achieved anything remarkable. Their warships were slow, their tactics predictable, and their technology primitive. Admiral Raxil sipped a lukewarm cup of synthesized tea as he studied the patrol reports on his hollow screen. All systems nominal. No human activity in this sector, he said, voice calm but firm. He did not notice the slight twitch in the brow of his aide, Lieutenant Varen, who had been scanning the deep sensors for hours. "Sir, there's something unusual. I can't classify it." It appeared suddenly, moving faster than any known human vessel. Varen's voice was tinged with hesitation. Raxil raised an eyebrow. "Impossible. Humans don't have ships capable of warp speeds that high. Show me." The holographic display flickered, revealing a faint blip moving with impossible acceleration. The ship was small, sleek, almost fragile-looking. Its silhouette was simple, almost human, but its movement was unlike anything in the Empire's database. "Coordinates?" Raxil asked, leaning forward. Varen hesitated. "Already out of range, it just vanished from the sensors, sir, then reappeared closer to the viral sector. Speed calculations suggest it could outrun a fleet ship 3 times its size." Raxil's lips pressed together. Something about the ship bothered him, a deep sense of unease he could not place. "Impossible," he muttered. "That can't be a human warship." Far from the Empire's patrols, in a small but heavily modified ship, Commander Elias Ward ran final checks on his vessel. Dust clung to the control panels, remnants of centuries-old human engineering he had restored himself. The ship had been abandoned in a forgotten asteroid field, left to rot for over 500 years. Yet, under Ward's careful hands, it hummed with life. Its engines purred smoothly and the adaptive shields glowed faintly in green. Ward leaned back in his chair, fingers tapping the console. "You're ready," he said softly to the ship, almost like speaking to an old friend. He had spent months restoring the vessel, using whatever materials he could scavenge. Every wire, every circuit, every piece of the ship bore his mark. The humans in the Empire's outer colonies had long been underestimated. No one took their small fleets seriously. Ward had heard the stories, the dismissive comments, the laughs when humans tried to fight alien pirates or Imperial patrols. But Ward knew humans had something the Empire did not: creativity, courage, and a willingness to take risks others considered insane. He initiated the ship's engines. A low hum filled the cockpit, growing louder as the thrusters engaged. The human warship lifted from the asteroid bay, casting a faint shadow against the distant stars. Meanwhile, in the Empire's command center, Varen's console beeped frantically. "Sir, another reading. It's accelerating again, much faster than anything we know, and it's heading toward the viral system." Raxil's hand clenched into a fist. "All units intercept. I want that ship identified immediately." The Empire's fleet scrambled. Cruisers roared to life, and their weapons powered up with bright, angry pulses. They had no time to study the ship carefully. Orders were simple: stop it. The humans were too unpredictable. Ward, however, did not panic. He guided his ship skillfully through an asteroid belt near the viral system. His eyes scanned the instruments constantly, anticipating each move the Empire could make. He had studied their tactics, and he knew the Empire relied on predictable patterns and brute force. Humans, on the other hand, relied on ingenuity. A warning flashed on the console. Multiple Imperial vessels had detected him and were moving to intercept. Ward smirked. "Let's see how they handle a few surprises." The first cruiser charged. Its energy weapons flared, a bright green light cutting through the darkness of space. Ward pressed a series of buttons, activating the ship's adaptive shield. The cruiser's beams struck the hull, but the shields absorbed and redirected the energy harmlessly. In seconds, the ship's countermeasures disabled the cruiser's targeting systems. The Imperial vessel spun wildly, unable to regain control. Varen watched in disbelief. "Sir, it's evading them effortlessly." "How?" Raxel's eyes widened. "Impossible, that ship." He stopped mid-sentence. "No one could build a ship like that. And yet the sensors confirmed it was a human vessel." Ward piloted his ship with confidence. He darted through the asteroid field, using the massive rocks for cover. Imperial ships fired blindly, their massive energy blasts scattering harmlessly against floating asteroids. Ward's warship moved like a shadow, precise and deliberate, exploiting weaknesses the Empire never considered. As he navigated, Ward thought about humans in general. They were often underestimated because they were small, fragile, and unassuming. But their greatest strength was their mind. Where aliens relied on technology or sheer numbers, humans relied on creativity, unpredictability, and courage. That was why his ship, ancient, patched together, and deceptively small, was now giving the Empire's fleet a headache. In the command center, Raxel slammed his fist on the table. "All units, focus fire, concentrate on that ship, stop it at any cost." Varen shook his head. "Sir, conventional attacks won't work. The ship, it's not just fast, it's adaptive. Every tactic we try fails." Raxel's face went pale. "Prepare the quantum disruptors. If we can't stop it conventionally, maybe this will." Back in space, Ward's ship glided silently past an asteroid, then instantly changed vector, appearing behind an Imperial cruiser. He activated a non-lethal pulse, disabling the cruiser's engines and sensors. The ship floated helplessly, a sitting duck among the rocks. Ward could have destroyed it, but humans did not fight without reason. He had a mission: to test Imperial reactions and collect intelligence. From the bridge of the immobilized cruiser, the captain barely whispered, What is this ship? It can't be human." Ward smiled faintly. "It is," he said to himself, eyes on the holographic map. "And they won't forget it." The human warship darted again, moving faster than the sensors could track. Imperial officers scrambled to adjust calculations, but each prediction failed. It was as if the ship read their minds, always one step ahead. Varen turned to Raxel, voice trembling. "Admiral, this isn't a drill. The reports, they're correct. One small human warship is defeating our fleet." Raxel leaned against the console, gripping it tightly. He could feel the panic rising in his chest. Never before had humans achieved anything close to this. They were supposed to be primitive, a minor species on the galactic stage. And yet here was a human ship, moving like a ghost, outsmarting, outrunning, and disabling Imperial forces. "Prepare a full alert," Raxel barked. "Send the signal to the High Council. This cannot be happening." Ward's ship hovered just outside the viral system. He observed the Empire's forces struggling to regroup, blinking lights indicating confusion and panic. He knew this was only the beginning. Humans had always been underestimated, and time and again, the galaxy would learn a hard lesson: never underestimate human ingenuity. Ward transmitted a short message back to the human colonies. "They are panicking. They don't know what we can do. Prepare yourselves." As the transmission left his ship, Ward looked out at the stars, calm and resolute. Somewhere deep in the Empire, officers whispered in disbelief. That can't be a human warship." But it was, and humans were just getting started. The viral system glowed dimly as the human warship hovered near the edge of the Empire's controlled space. Commander Elias Ward had watched the Imperial fleet struggle to reorganize, their massive ships clanking and spinning like unwieldy giants. He knew one thing for certain: humans were underestimated, and that mistake could be used to their advantage. Ward checked his instruments. The sensors still struggled to keep up with his ship's unpredictable movements, a problem he had intentionally engineered. The Empire relied on numbers, power, and standard tactics. Humans relied on creativity, and creativity was a weapon more dangerous than any energy cannon. The communication console beeped. Ward opened the secure channel to a human reconnaissance team stationed near the outer colonies. "They're panicking," he said simply. "Their scouts can't keep track of my ship. It's time to test their response. Gather whatever data you can and prepare for evacuation if needed." The officer on the other side, Lieutenant Mara Kells, nodded sharply. "Understood, Commander. We'll be ready." Ward's ship accelerated. It shot forward, weaving between asteroid clusters at impossible speed. The Imperials scrambled to intercept, sending cruisers and corvettes into the asteroid field. But Ward was always one step ahead. Every move the Empire tried, he anticipated. Every attack they launched was countered with clever maneuvers, or simply ignored when unnecessary. The first Imperial cruiser fired a volley of plasma beams. Ward activated the adaptive shield, which absorbed the blasts and dispersed the energy harmlessly into space. He then used the ship's maneuvering thrusters to redirect the cruiser's own shots toward its engines. The massive ship groaned as its systems overloaded, and within seconds it drifted uselessly among the rocks. From the command center of the Empire, Admiral Raxel's face was pale. "Report," he demanded. "Why isn't it destroyed?" Lieutenant Varen's hands flew over the console. "Sir, the ship, its design is unlike anything in our records. Its weapons, its shields, its speed, it adapts to every attack. I've never seen anything like it." Raxel slammed his fist on the console. "Impossible. One human ship cannot outmaneuver an entire fleet." Meanwhile, Ward's ship had already moved hundreds of kilometers away. He scanned the region for Imperial supply lines. That was his next objective, to gather intelligence. Humans were not interested in pointless destruction. Every action had purpose. He intercepted a convoy carrying resources vital to the Empire. The ships were heavily armed but slow and predictable. Ward activated his ship's stealth mode, a combination of ancient human engineering and modern modifications. The fleet's sensors failed to detect him until he was almost on top of them. Ward carefully disabled the convoy's engines with targeted electromagnetic pulses. The ships floated helplessly, unable to move or communicate. Crew members scrambled, shouting orders they could not carry out. Ward's ship did not fire on them. He had no intention of harming innocents. His mission was intelligence, not destruction. But even this careful tactic was enough to send shockwaves through the Empire. Reports of the disabled convoy reached Imperial command within minutes. The words echoed through the halls. "One human ship stopped an entire supply fleet. One ship. How is that possible?" Admiral Raxel gritted his teeth. "All units pursue. I want that human destroyed. If they take our supplies, the Empire's power is at risk. Now engage." Ward, anticipating their pursuit, led the Imperial ships on a chase. They followed him into a dense asteroid field, thinking their size and firepower would give them the advantage. Ward knew better. Using the asteroids for cover, he split the fleet, forcing cruisers into collisions or tricky maneuvers. His ship moved with precision, slipping between rocks and using gravity to accelerate without energy expenditure. From the bridge of an Imperial cruiser, Captain Lauren shouted in frustration. "The ship, it moves like a ghost. Our targeting systems fail every time." Ward's grin was faint but satisfied. The Empire had relied on standard procedures and expected predictable reactions. Humans did not follow predictability. They created opportunities from chaos. Hours passed. Ward gathered information on Imperial communications, fleet movements, and supply routes. Every detail he recorded would help humans plan future operations. Every piece of intelligence added pressure on the Empire, forcing them to scramble and reconsider their assumptions. At one point, Ward's sensors detected a trap. A large Imperial force had formed ahead, blocking his path. The enemy expected him to flee or fight head-on. Ward did neither. He activated a decoy system, projecting multiple holographic images of his ship, each moving in different directions. The Imperial fleet fired at the decoys, wasting energy and revealing their positions. Ward's real ship slipped through the gaps. In a swift move, he disabled the lead cruiser's engines with another precise pulse, sending it spinning out of control. The rest of the fleet faltered, unsure where to aim. In moments, the human warship was gone, leaving a confused and battered Imperial fleet behind. Back at the Imperial Command Center, panic set in. Varen could not hide her disbelief. "Sir, the humans, they are unthinkable. One small ship, one human, and they've outmaneuvered our fleet. They can't be stopped with conventional tactics." Raxel's eyes darkened with worry. "Prepare the quantum disruptors. If one human can outmaneuver our fleet, maybe these weapons can stop them." Ward was already aware of the Empire's likely response. He had studied their strategy for months. He smiled faintly, thinking of how predictable they were. The Empire had relied on size, numbers, and overwhelming firepower. They had never considered that a single human ship could use intelligence and creativity as its greatest weapon. Ward initiated a communication with the outer human colonies. "Prepare yourselves," he said. "They think they can stop us with force. They don't understand human ingenuity. Soon, they will learn." As night fell across the viral system, Imperial officers gathered in private chambers to discuss the growing threat. Whispers filled the halls. "It can't be a human warship." One human, one ship, but it was. And humans were just beginning to show what they could do. Ward's ship glided silently through space, adaptive shields glowing softly. Every system functioned perfectly, every movement precise. He was not just a pilot. He was a human using ingenuity, courage, and strategy to challenge an entire galactic empire. Across the galaxy, humans would hear the whispers, and for the first time, many would realize that their species was underestimated. That underestimation was not a weakness, it was a weapon. In the darkness of space, Ward paused for a moment. Stars stretched infinitely in every direction, beautiful and unyielding. "This is only the beginning," he whispered. "The galaxy doesn't know what humans can do yet." And indeed, it did not. The Empire had faced other species, other fleets, other threats, but none had faced humans like Ward, who relied on mind, skill, and adaptability. The panic that had begun with a single ship would soon spread across the Empire. One human warship had changed the rules of the game entirely. As Ward disappeared into the outer rim, moving silently toward the next Imperial supply hub, he knew the lesson humans would teach the galaxy. Never underestimate them. Not one, not ever. Weeks had passed since Commander Elias Ward first shocked the Galactic Empire with his small, unassuming warship. Rumors of the human warship spread through Imperial space like wildfire. No fleet, no matter how large, had ever been outmaneuvered so easily. Across the Empire, officers whispered in disbelief. How can one human outmatch entire fleets? Ward did not slow down. Humans were clever, adaptable, and fearless. They thrived in situations that others considered impossible. And the Empire, rigid, arrogant, and overconfident, was the perfect target for human ingenuity. Ward's next mission was more ambitious: to gather intelligence and disrupt supply lines deeper in Imperial space. He plotted a course through the Meathian Corridor, a series of sparsely populated systems that the Empire used to transport resources between its core worlds and frontier territories. The corridor was heavily patrolled, but humans thrived on risks. He glanced at the controls. Every system was functioning perfectly. The ship hummed with life, its engines adaptive, its shields ready, and its weapons primed. Ward's mind, sharper than any AI, calculated probabilities faster than Imperial computers. He smiled faintly. The Empire had no idea what awaited them. Imperial Admiral Raxel was growing desperate. Each failed attempt to capture or destroy Ward's ship made him look weak to the High Council. He summoned his top commanders. "We have underestimated them," he growled. "This is no ordinary human ship. One vessel has caused chaos in multiple sectors. I want strategies, new strategies. Think outside your databases." A young officer, visibly nervous, spoke. "Admiral, we've tried conventional attacks. They adapt instantly. If we try to replicate their ship, our engineers fail every time. It seems their technology, their thinking, is fundamentally different." Raxel slammed his fist on the table. "We cannot allow one human to embarrass the Empire. Send reinforcements, intercept them, or prepare the quantum disruptors. Whatever it takes." Meanwhile, Ward had already entered the Meathian corridor. Imperial supply convoys moved steadily, confident no human could challenge them. Ward watched carefully, his sensors scanning every ship. He needed intelligence, routes, communications, fleet strengths. Knowledge was his weapon, more powerful than any laser cannon. He selected a convoy and activated stealth mode. Ancient human engineering, patched together with modern upgrades, rendered his ship invisible to most Imperial sensors. He moved silently through the dark void, slipping past the escorting destroyers. With careful precision, Ward used his adaptive pulse to temporarily disable engines and communications. The convoy drifted helplessly, unaware of the unseen observer. Ward did not attack. He was a human, and humans valued purpose and ethics. His goal was intelligence and disruption, not needless destruction. Within hours, he had recorded movement patterns, supply schedules, and fleet configurations. All of this would be invaluable for future missions. Imperial sensors, however, detected anomalies. Destroyers scrambled to investigate, firing random bursts into empty space. Ward's ship moved faster than they could track, using asteroid belts and spatial anomalies for cover. Each maneuver forced the Empire to overextend its fleet, wasting resources and energy. On the bridge of an Imperial cruiser, Captain Lauren barked orders. "Where is it? How does it keep outmaneuvering us? Every prediction fails." Varen's voice trembled as she examined the console. "Sir, it's impossible. The ship adapts instantly. Our fleet cannot catch it." They think differently, act unpredictably," Raxel gritted his teeth. "Humans are small, fragile. They cannot do this. Yet they do." Ward continued his mission, moving deeper into the corridor. Using intelligence from the disabled convoy, he intercepted communication channels, learning about troop movements and logistics. Every piece of information he gathered gave humans an advantage, and he moved swiftly, always one step ahead of Imperial responses. Word of the human warship spread among the colonies. Humans whispered excitedly about Ward's daring maneuvers. For the first time, many began to believe in the strength and cleverness of their species. Across the galaxy, oppressed species in Imperial territories began to hope. Humans were proving that size and power were not everything. Mind, courage, and adaptability mattered more. Ward's next move was bold. A large Imperial transport convoy was moving toward a frontier planet. The fleet had several escort ships, confident in their numbers and firepower. Ward, undetected, positioned himself behind a dense asteroid field. He calculated the perfect angles and timing, then moved. He activated decoy drones, sending holographic copies of his ship in multiple directions. The Imperial fleet fired blindly, energy beams scattering against invisible targets. Using the distraction, Ward disabled the lead destroyer's engines, causing it to drift into another escort ship. The collision caused chaos, and the fleet faltered, unsure where to focus. Humans had long thrived on improvisation. Where aliens relied on protocols, humans relied on flexibility. Ward's tactics were not only effective, they were unpredictable, moral, and precise. He ensured no civilians were harmed while creating maximum disruption. From the Imperial Command Center, Raxel's panic grew. The human, one ship is destroying our supply lines. They cannot be stopped. Varen swallowed hard. Sir, we cannot use conventional tactics. They anticipate every move. They think like us but faster and differently. It's as if they see possibilities we cannot even imagine. Raxel's face went pale. Then we change the rules, deploy every fleet available in the sector. I don't care about resources. Stop the human. Ward, aware of the growing response, decided it was time to leave. He had achieved his objective: intelligence, disruption, and sending a clear message to the Empire. As he prepared to warp out of the corridor, a fleet of Imperial ships moved to intercept him. The humans had no intention of engaging in a prolonged battle. They relied on strategy, not recklessness. Ward activated the ship's warp drive, using gravitational anomalies in the nearby nebula to mask the jump. In seconds, he disappeared from Imperial sensors, leaving behind confusion and frustration. The Empire had now faced humans twice and failed both times. Panic spread through their ranks. Fleet officers argued over strategy, commanders blamed each other, and Raxel faced mounting pressure from the High Council. The whispers grew louder. One human ship, one human, and they outmaneuver our fleets. How is this possible? Meanwhile, Ward transmitted another short message to the colonies. They are unprepared for humans. They rely on size, numbers, and rules. We rely on courage and ingenuity. Prepare for more. In the quiet of space, Ward rested briefly in his cockpit. He thought of Earth, of humanity, and of what humans could achieve when underestimated. The galaxy had always dismissed humans as weak. Now, humans were proving otherwise. The Empire, blinded by arrogance and overconfidence, had made one fatal mistake. They underestimated the humans, and the consequences would only grow. As Ward's ship sped toward the next sector, Imperial officers studied the reports again and again, trying to find a flaw, a weakness. None existed. Ward was clever, skilled, and human. And for the Empire, humans were no longer a minor nuisance. They were a force to be reckoned with. In distant corridors of the galaxy, humans whispered tales of the legendary human warship. They spoke of a small, fast, cunning vessel that could outmaneuver fleets, disrupt supply lines, and leave the mighty Empire scrambling. Commander Ward's actions were more than missions. They were proof that humans were not to be underestimated. And the Empire had only begun to realize it. The Imperial High Council convened in hurried, tense meetings. Reports from the viral sector and the Meathian corridor were alarming. One human warship, piloted by Commander Elias Ward, had disrupted supply lines, outmaneuvered fleets, and made the Empire look weak. Officers whispered among themselves, "How can a single human ship be this effective?" Admiral Raxel slammed his fist on the conference table. "This human, he cannot be allowed to continue. He is small, fragile, and insignificant, yet he has caused chaos across multiple sectors. I want a full-scale response. Every ship, every weapon, every system, we will crush him." But even as Raxel planned his massive assault, Ward was already moving. He had gathered intelligence, studied the Empire's patterns, and knew exactly how they would react. Humans had long survived in hostile environments by observing, adapting, and improvising. Ward relied on the same principles now, against the galaxy's most powerful military. His target was the Imperial supply hub at Tresson Prime, a massive station supplying fleets across the frontier sectors. Destroying it would not only disrupt the Empire but also send a clear message. Humans were clever, resourceful, and unstoppable when underestimated. Ward approached the sector cautiously. Sensors picked up dozens of Imperial ships guarding the hub. Cruisers, destroyers, and frigates formed a protective ring, confident in their numbers and firepower. Ward smiled faintly. The Empire had not learned yet. Humans did not fight like others. They fought smarter. He deployed decoy drones around the perimeter. Holographic copies of his ship appeared on sensors in multiple directions, forcing the Imperial fleet to divide its fire. Energy beams tore through empty space, while Ward's real ship slipped silently toward the hub. Inside the station, alarms blared. Imperial officers scrambled to organize defenses. Communications were intercepted, and Ward's adaptive technology jammed their systems further. Human ingenuity was not just in physical actions, it was in understanding how the enemy thought and exploiting it. Ward disabled the hub's defensive cannons without destroying them. He had no interest in harming civilians or innocent workers. The goal was disruption and intelligence gathering. Within minutes, he had accessed the station's operational data, mapped fleet movements, and located weak points in the Empire's supply network. The Imperial fleet responded, sending reinforcements in waves. Massive energy blasts filled the space around Ward's ship, but the human warship moved with precision. Adaptive shields absorbed the fire, and the ship's thrusters allowed sudden, unpredictable maneuvers. Every Imperial tactic failed. From the bridge of a nearby cruiser, Captain Lauren shouted in frustration, "It's impossible. Every strategy fails. How does one human outmaneuver an entire fleet?" Ward's eyes narrowed. Humans thrived on unpredictability. Where the Empire relied on logic and numbers, humans relied on creativity, courage, and adaptability. Each movement, each decision was a step ahead of the enemy. As the battle raged, Ward used the hub's own communication system to send false commands, creating confusion among the Imperial fleet. Ships collided, fired on each other, and abandoned their positions. Within hours, the massive fleet protecting the hub was in disarray. In the Imperial High Council chambers, panic spread. "They are everywhere," Varen whispered to Admiral Raxel. "One human ship, one human, and they've crippled our strongest supply station. We cannot stop him with conventional tactics." Raxel's face darkened. "Prepare the quantum disruptors. This ends now." Ward anticipated the move. Quantum disruptors were powerful but slow to charge. He used the moment to activate a series of gravity-assisted maneuvers, warping behind the main battle line and creating chaos among the remaining Imperial ships. Within minutes, every disruptor shot missed, wasted on empty space. Humans had long survived impossible odds by turning enemies' strengths into weaknesses. Ward did the same. He disabled critical engines on cruisers, disrupted targeting systems, and slipped away before the Empire could recover. The Tresson Prime hub was still intact, but its operational capacity was crippled. Supplies were trapped, communications jammed, and Imperial fleets scattered. Ward's mission was a complete success. As he prepared to leave the sector, Ward transmitted a short, simple message to human colonies across the galaxy. "They thought we were weak. They are learning otherwise. Prepare for the future." News of Ward's actions spread quickly. Humans who had lived quietly under Imperial rule began to see a different reality. One human, one ship, could change the balance of power. Hope, courage, and pride surged among colonies that had long been oppressed. Meanwhile, the Imperial High Council convened again. Reports of the human warship's success were undeniable. Admiral Raxel faced scrutiny from every side. "We underestimated them," he admitted reluctantly. "They are clever, adaptable, and unrelenting. If one human ship can do this, what might an entire fleet of humans achieve?" Across the galaxy, Ward continued his operations. Every mission, every intelligence report, every successful disruption reinforced the lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. They could think, improvise, and survive where others failed. The galaxy had relied on size, numbers, and firepower to maintain control. Humans relied on ingenuity, strategy, and courage. Ward paused in his cockpit, looking out at the stars. The galaxy stretched infinitely before him, vast, dangerous, and full of opportunity. Humans had been underestimated for centuries, dismissed as weak and insignificant. But now humans were proving otherwise. In the Empire, panic became fear. Officers argued over strategies, commanders blamed each other, and fleets hesitated. Humans had shown that a single ship could disrupt supply lines, defeat fleets, and outthink an entire empire. Imagine what humanity could do with resources, fleets, and freedom. Ward's ship glided silently to the next system. Intelligence reports indicated Imperial convoys moving to regroup. Ward studied the data and smiled. They still think in conventional ways. They haven't learned yet. The Empire's panic spread even further. Whispers of a human threat echoed across command centers. It cannot be, officers said. One human, one ship, and yet they have disrupted entire sectors. Ward transmitted another brief message to human colonies. Prepare. The galaxy is about to change. Humans will no longer be underestimated. As he moved through the outer rim, Ward reflected on humanity's true power. It was not in massive ships, advanced weapons, or technology alone. It was in creativity, adaptability, and courage. Humans were unpredictable, clever, and unyielding. The galaxy had always assumed humans were weak, small, and insignificant. Ward's actions proved otherwise. In the heart of the Empire, Admiral Raxil finally admitted the truth. We cannot ignore them. One human has already changed the game. If we continue to underestimate humanity, the consequences will be catastrophic. The galaxy had learned a lesson, but it was only the beginning. Humans were no longer a minor species, easily dismissed. They were clever, brave, and unstoppable when underestimated. Ward's victories had shifted the balance of power. One human ship had become a symbol of hope for the oppressed and a warning to the mighty. Ward's warship glided past the stars, silent and unassuming. To most, it looked small, fragile, and ordinary. But in reality, it was extraordinary. It carried the spirit of humanity, clever, adaptable, and fearless. And the galaxy would never forget it. The Empire had faced other species, other fleets, and other threats. But none had faced humans like Ward, humans who thought differently, acted boldly, and refused to be underestimated. As the human warship disappeared into the stars, one thing was clear: the galaxy had changed forever. Humans had shown their true strength. The Empire could panic, fleets could scramble, and officers could whisper in disbelief. But humans would continue to innovate, adapt, and lead. The balance of power had shifted, and the galaxy would never be the same. Commander Ward rested in his cockpit, watching the stars pass by. He knew the human journey was only beginning. The galaxy had learned one truth: never underestimate a human, and humans would make sure that truth was never forgotten.